The LDV T60 has become a popular choice in Australia thanks to its competitive price and impressive features. But like any vehicle, it has its drawbacks. One major concern? Rust. Some owners like me have found this to be more than just a minor issue. So is rust a deal breaker? Let's dive in and find out. The LDV T60 is rising in popularity, and it really comes down to the price point. Being a dual cab ute for around $40,000 is really hard to beat. Anything else, you're looking at a Hilux, a Ranger, a D-Max, they're all $70,000, $80,000, $90,000, even $100,000. So a dual cab ute for $40,000 is pretty enticing, but it does come with issues. As you know, I had the first edition of the LDV T60, the 2018 model, and that model had rust issues. As you know from my previous videos, I documented that journey. You can go and watch it. I'll put a link up here. But essentially, I had a LDV T60. It had rust everywhere. I took it back to LDV. They assessed the vehicle and deemed it uneconomical to repair. I'd had the car for 2 years, maybe 3 years. And after that, they gave me a full refund of the purchase price, which I thought was pretty impressive. So since then, I've bought 3 more utes and an LDV D90. And so I wanted to touch base and have a look at, is it really worth it, the risk of having rust, or should you be looking at something else? For me, I use the dual cab utes as rental cars. So they tick a lot of boxes for me. Price and dual cab ute, automatic, and I can get a similar return as I can from other brands. So for me, it ticks a lot of boxes. I don't use them for off-road. I don't use them for towing. I don't use them for a lot of stuff, but there are other people who do use them. And in the LDV community, there's lots of people who rave about the four-wheel drive capabilities of this vehicle. And I think you sit on either side of the fence. You either love them or you hate them. Of course, the biggest talking point is always the rust. The LDV is synonymous with rust. It has a history from the early days of being covered in rust, this vehicle, and it's really a bit of stigma that they have a hard time getting rid of. A lot of people love these cars. Again, I had issues with the first one. These ones have been great. I've had no issues at all. So, except, actually I do lie, except if you look back at my video when I bought this particular car, the day I picked it up I had an engine light. But it was a simple switch issue. I took it over, they got it fixed. So it happens, not the end of the world. But those who hate LDV are quick to pinpoint those areas, but the ones who love it are raving fans. So when you're considering buying an LDV, is the rust a deal breaker? So some common parts where rust was occurring on my vehicle: above the windscreen here, underneath the door handles was starting to bubble as well as alongside the bottom of the door. And if you check on the rear section, above the rear window here and below were key areas that I found rust in my T60. The main reason for the rust in the LDVs is obviously the quality of materials that were used at the time of building these, especially that first run of 2017-18, the inadequate anti-corrosion treatment that was applied, and of course environmental factors from a place of origin to getting to Australia. So the real long-term implications then, of course, structural damage, but more importantly, the resale value of your asset, because you've invested a lot of money into this. So the resale value of that will be drastically reduced from the fear that the vehicle will at some stage have rust, especially out of its warranty period. So that's going to have a negative impact on the long-term resale value of the vehicle. Again, you may run the numbers and think that investing $40,000 in an LDV or $80,000 in a Ford Ranger, repayments-wise, resale value-wise, and what you use that vehicle for, it may be for a business enterprise and you can write that depreciation off. I don't know what that looks like for you, but you need to work out the best situation for yourself. But obviously LDV's reputation of having rust in the vehicle has a detrimental effect to the long-term resale of the vehicle. But if you're an LDV fan, it's also an opportunity for you to be able to pick one up pretty cheap. The biggest issue when you have a manufacturer issue like a rusting vehicle, which is certainly not ideal, is how does the manufacturer handle that? And for me, LDV didn't even question it. They obviously knew they had an issue, unlike other manufacturers. that are fighting people in court for simple stuff. LDV just simply gave my money back, full refund after 3 years, which is pretty impressive. But they've obviously done that because they had a slew of issues to deal with from that. So what that looks forward going forward, I think if there was more rust issues, I'd expect the same thing. I'd expect LDV to then take ownership of that and issue full refunds for your vehicle. So is that enough to warrant the purchase of one? I don't know. You'll have to understand your own risk tolerance. For me, it was. I bought three more utes, sorry. And knowing that they have warranty, I haven't had to use that warranty on these ones. So, so far so good. There's no rust issues on these, and they're performing exactly how I want them to perform. With the newer models, you'd imagine then that the LDV business model would not be to continue to hand cars out and refund them in full. The business model would be to then create better products to then prevent having to do that. So moving forward, you would imagine as a business then LDV would be presenting a better quality product, which is what we're finding. Getting closer to a standard that is acceptable for a long-term usability of your asset and resale of your asset as well. So the question then remains, is the LDV right for you? Well, I don't know. It's all about your risk tolerance and what you need it for. What is your desired outcome for the vehicle? Is it a work car, a personal car? Do you need the tray-back, the dual cab, the mega tub? LDV has a lot of features with a lot to love, and it has some questionable attributes from the early models as well. So the best thing to do is do your own research, join some LDV owners groups, speak to others who have had them, and do plenty of research on if this vehicle ticks everything you want it to do. And again, you're investing a lot of money, and you need to make sure you're getting a good return on that asset. The LDV T60, the final decision. Is the rust issue a deal breaker, or is it manageable? I don't know. For me, it's manageable. It hasn't been an issue with these moving forward. At some stage, I'm going to need to resell these, and I'll deal with that when I deal with it. At the moment, they're performing exactly how I need them to, and doing everything I personally need them to do. But interested to know your thoughts in the comments section. Those who have had a good run and those who haven't. I would love to hear more about it. Get into the comments and discuss what your thoughts are on the LDV rust. Whether the bad news is behind them and they're moving forward, or have they not rectified it at all and their reputation is tarnished forever. Let me know in the comments. Let's get into it.